Why can't Julio Foolio ever seem to pay his producers? Well, maybe not ever, but it definitely has happened too often. In this video, I'm pretty much going to go over and break down my theories behind this trend we've seen in his releases and why this might be happening. So, if y'all don't really know who this guy is, Julio Foolio, formerly known as Charles Jones, is a 24-year-old popular rapper from Florida, and he's gone viral a couple times, but for some questionable reasons. He definitely has a history with the law with some charges that, and I'm not sure if he's guilty of these or not, so take it as you please, but this list includes window tint violation, fleeing from the police, eluding police, and some others. And furthermore, you can listen to how he feels about the police in his tracks, as it's a common topic. And you'll see how this relates to my theories in a little bit. So overall, when you think of Foolio, you probably think of his beef with fellow rapper Young and Ace. The beef between these two went pretty viral a couple years back with diss tracks coming from both sides and probably some other events going down. The two most popular songs of this beef include Who I Smoke by Young and Ace and others, and When I See You by Foolio. Now, let's just say these tracks were pretty disrespectful and got a lot of views. Throughout Julio Foolio's career, he's also had a track record of failing to pay his producers. Why is this? Well, unfortunately, this happens in the industry too often, but most of the community knows about Foolio, so let's just get into it. Okay, so my first theory is that he just doesn't respect his producers and simply doesn't really give a fuck about paying them. Even though it's the right thing to do to give splits in advance to your producers because there wouldn't be a record without them, some just don't see it this way and will do anything to keep money to themselves. This group of people tend to see the act of hopping on a beat as doing a favor for the producer. And in some ways, they could be doing a favor, depending on, who the producer is, but this is just an egotistical mindset and pretty disrespectful to the art of making a record. So once this happens a time or two by an artist, it's our job as producers to stop working with them unless you don't care about not being paid. Something I see too often is that producers will have knowledge of the history that certain artists have of not paying for beats, but still make efforts to work with them. So if this is you, don't try and send beats and then, complain about not being paid because you knew they have a history of doing that. Honestly, this is probably the theory that is most likely to be true, but who knows? I say this because a couple years back, his manager took it to Instagram to say something along the lines of, "Fuck, we look like paying producers. You guys should be grateful for us to let you even work with us," or something like that, which is just fucking crazy and insane. Now, most would call artists that fall under this group of people broke, and this leads me to my next theory. My next theory is that Julio Foolio might just be running low on money and doesn't want to pay. Believe it or not, a lot of these rappers actually aren't as rich as they seem. A lot of them spend money on jewelry and flashy things, or they'll rent their cars, houses, and other visualizing objects for marketing purposes. I'm not saying that Julio does these things, but it's something to consider. I think we've all heard about the Kodak Black theory, and if you haven't, pretty much Kodak's admitted to not being as rich as he seems.
I am not rich. I am just a regular street dude. I'm not rich, okay? These ain't my chains, man. I'm not rich. You gotta be rich to wear this jewelry. I am not fucking rich.
Now, most say that this is because of all the charges he keeps facing, trouble he gets himself into, and having to pour out money on lawyer fees and things of that nature. Although Foolio may have a lot less trouble to deal with than Kodak has, the expenses of these fees are still high and could put a dent in cash flow. And furthermore, Kodak has a lot more hits out there, probably bringing in more money than Foolio's records. So this could actually even out in terms of income being lost to fees of things of this nature. Additionally, Foolio's most popular song is his diss track When I See You, which is a remix, so he only has it released on YouTube. It's his most popular song with over 34 million streams, but this is only on YouTube, which significantly minimizes the money he's actually making off of it, if any. And if he is making money off the record, a large percentage is definitely going to the original creator of the remix song. So most producers will try and get at least a couple hundred for an advance, if not a couple thousand, depending on the producer and if the track is being released. And artists, this is standard, but create relationships with your producers or pay them their money. Because of failure to pay these standard upfront payments, the price point for each track's beat, especially on an album with 10 plus songs, may just be a problem for Julio Foolio or tight in his team's budget. But who knows, maybe he could just let the producers pick up a fraction of the cash he's throwing on the ground in his music videos, but who am I to say that? So, moral of the story is, if you're a producer and you know artists you're sending beats to hasn't been paying, don't send them beats. If you didn't know any better, then I'm sorry, and whoever the artist is probably falls under the two theories I just talked about. From here, you should talk to the artist, talk to the lawyer if necessary, and most importantly, send the story into producer spotlight because I've gotten some pretty funny responses from rappers. So maybe your favorite rapper just doesn't give a fuck about you and doesn't respect your work, or maybe he's just broke. I guess we'll never know. Stay safe out there and keep your artwork to those who respect it.